The island was supposed to be empty, but what the pilot saw from above changed everything. When veteran pilot Dwight noticed a giant help sign carved into the sand, he thought he was flying toward a routine rescue. But as soon as he landed, strange things began to surface. A bloody knife, an abandoned campsite, and a journal filled with urgent warnings. Then someone emerged from the forest, claiming to have survived a terrible ordeal. But the deeper Dwight dug, the more he realized nothing on this island was what it seemed. What started as a rescue became a journey into a chilling mystery that had been buried for years. But before we start our story, smash the like button, make sure to subscribe and hit the notifications bell so you won't miss any new stories. He had flown over this same island many times before, but he had never seen anything change on it. Until that day, there had been absolutely no sign of human life on the island, and everyone knew that it was uninhabited. It was also said to be a very dangerous place, but nobody knew for sure whether this was true or a myth. Dwight decided to try to forget about all the scary stories he had previously heard about this island and find a place to land on it instead. If there was really someone stuck in there, he needed to help them. He looked at the giant help sign again, and there was no doubt about it. Humans must have made it. There was no other explanation. He scanned the island as he circled over it, keeping his eyes open, and as he realized what he was actually doing, his mood changed. He continued looking for a place to land. However, the island was really overgrown, and there was not really an ideal spot anywhere on it. The largest part of the island was covered with a dense forest and mountains, but Ethan spotted a small beach where he thought he might be able to land safely. He took a deep breath and slowly descended, getting closer and closer to the beach. He waited until he got close enough to be 100% sure that he could make a safe landing, and once he had confirmed that it was possible, he decided to just go for it. He took deep and steady breaths as he lowered his helicopter, trying not to think about all the horrible ways in which this could go wrong, and he let out a sigh of relief when he finally felt a bump, indicating that he had landed. Ethan quickly shut down the helicopter and jumped out of it, curious about what he would encounter on this island. It was huge, and he could only hope that he wouldn't get lost here. He had his compass with him though, and it was still broad daylight. What could go wrong? Ethan looked around attentively, trying to decide which direction to go in first. The beach was completely empty, and there was absolutely no sign that anyone else had ever been there, except for one thing. He found a knife, and it was covered in blood. It just lay there in the sand. He immediately grabbed his phone to call 911, but of course, he had no signal. He doubted what he should do, and everything inside him screamed, "Get off of this island!" But he knew he couldn't do that. He knew that he needed to help whoever was stuck there. He was scared, yes, but he asked himself, what if it was me that was stuck here, or someone I love? He took a deep breath and he made his decision. Dwight picked up the knife, wiped it clean, and stepped into the forest. The thick forest was dark and the air was damp. It was a huge contrast to his surroundings less than a minute ago. He hadn't gone far when he noticed something out of place, a splash of color against the monotonous green. As he moved closer, he could see it was a piece of fabric, torn and fluttering gently in the slight breeze. The campsite, when he found it, was a small clearing, barely visible beneath the overgrowth. A tent was collapsed in one corner, its fabric mottled with mildew and leaves. Nearby, a rusted kettle lay on its side, half buried under fallen leaves. The remains of a fire pit were at the center, cold and abandoned, with a few charred sticks and a pile of ash. Personal items were strewn about: a water bottle, a frayed backpack, a single shoe. He wondered about the person who had left them behind. What had driven them to this remote place? And more importantly, what had made them leave so suddenly? Were they connected to the sign? In the midst of the chaotic campsite, Dwight's eyes caught sight of a journal, its cover tattered and pages frayed. As he leafed through it, the entries, written in a hurried scrawl, spoke of fear and urgency. They were the words of someone who had faced grave danger, their tone oscillating between hope and despair. While examining the journal, a sharp crack from the forest pierced the silence, snapping Dwight's attention towards the dense trees. His heart quickened as he carefully stepped into the underbrush, the sound guiding him deeper into the forest, where shadows danced and the unknown loomed, making him acutely aware of every rustle and whisper. As he ventured further, signs of human presence became increasingly evident. Broken branches, footprints in the soft earth, and torn pieces of fabric caught on the brambles. The last entry in the journal, dated just days ago, was a desperate cry for help, the words almost illegible in their frantic scrawl. Methodically, Dwight returned to the campsite, gathering every piece of evidence he could find. Moving cautiously, Dwight couldn't shake the feeling that eyes were watching him from the shadows, hidden observers in this vast green labyrinth. In the corner of his eye, Dwight caught a glimpse of something moving, a shadow that flickered and vanished, leaving him questioning his own eyes. This sight sparked a complex blend of hope and fear within him, igniting a fervent curiosity to discover who or what shared this secluded environment with him. With a newfound resolve, Dwight set off in the direction of the mysterious figure, each step taking him deeper into the island's dense wilderness. Determined to uncover the truth, he pressed forward with caution. In a small clearing, Dwight discovered a crudely made spear, abandoned and sharp. Nearby, he found a small child's shoe, strangely out of place. These unsettling finds hinted at danger and vulnerability, deepening the mystery of who else had been here and what had happened to them. Farther along, he stumbled upon blood-stained clothing discarded in the foliage. The scene suggested recent violence, intensifying Dwight's sense of urgency and apprehension. A heavy dread settled over him. It was clear that whatever had occurred here wasn't just a matter of survival, it was something darker. He moved forward with increased vigilance. As Dwight pushed deeper into the island, he encountered abandoned shelters, extinguished fires, and personal belongings scattered in disarray. Everything pointed to hardship and a story lost to time. With the sun dipping low, Dwight realized nightfall was approaching. Navigating unfamiliar, treacherous terrain in the dark was a daunting thought, pushing him to move quickly. He picked up the pace, hoping to reach the safety of the beach. Shadows lengthened as daylight faded, making the forest even more ominous. When Dwight finally reached the beach, the isolation struck him. The rhythmic waves contrasted sharply with the silence of the island, emphasizing his solitude. Beneath a canopy of stars, Dwight settled for the night, already planning his next moves. He was determined to continue searching at dawn, despite the unknown dangers that awaited. At first light, a wounded man stumbled out of the forest. His sudden appearance added another layer to the mystery. He seemed dazed, his injuries real and fresh. The man spoke of betrayal and a lurking danger, his words tangled in fear and pain. Dwight listened intently, absorbing every detail. The man described being abandoned and left for dead. His story was haunting, filled with desperation, and yet Dwight couldn't help but question how much was true. While tending to the man's wounds, Dwight reflected on his account. The evidence of struggle was visible, but so was the possibility of deceit. When Dwight compared the man's tale with a journal he had found earlier, inconsistencies emerged. Both sources were filled with urgency and fear, but their contradictions left Dwight uncertain of the truth. Despite doubts, Dwight offered help. His decision was guided by empathy, but he remained cautious, aware the man's secrets might hold the key to understanding the island. Dwight shared what he had uncovered, hoping to fill in the missing pieces. But the man's reactions, a mixture of fear, surprise, and familiarity, only deepened Dwight's suspicions. The man's shifting demeanor stirred unease. His responses were sometimes too guarded, his emotions too calculated. The story continued to unravel, yet many pieces didn't fit. Dwight grew more skeptical as the evidence and the man's account failed to align. The deeper Dwight explored, the more the island's past seemed twisted in layers of deceit and danger. Each discovery made the truth harder to pin down. When the man mentioned a cursed part of the island, Dwight's curiosity was stirred once again, alongside a growing sense of foreboding. His pursuit of truth outweighed fear, and he pressed forward, hoping this place held the key to the island's shadowy past. As he entered the dense expanse, every step heightened Dwight's senses. The forest seemed alive with unseen movement, the atmosphere thick with tension. Strange whispers drifted on the breeze, and fleeting shadows haunted his periphery. The deeper he ventured, the more the island felt like a living entity, guarding its secrets. The undergrowth grew denser, forming a maze of tangled roots and vines. Each step was a battle against the island's wild terrain, which seemed determined to conceal its truths. Out of nowhere, an unseen assailant ambushed Dwight. Adrenaline surged as he fought back, driven by instinct to survive. Breathless and shaken, he narrowly escaped. The attack intensified his resolve, turning fear into fuel for his quest to uncover the island's hidden story. Despite the ambush, Dwight pressed on. His courage didn't waver. He was more determined than ever to uncover the truth, whatever the cost. He noticed signs easily missed: disturbed foliage, trampled ground, and discarded objects. Small traces pointing to activity and secrets hidden in the cursed terrain. With each step, he drew closer to something profound. Though the fear remained, it was now matched by a sense of impending revelation. Pushing through thick brush, Dwight stumbled into a concealed area of the island. What lay ahead was unlike anything he had encountered before. There, hidden among the trees, he found remnants of an abandoned drug lab. The sight of equipment and chemical residue made one thing clear: the island had once been a hub for illegal activity. He uncovered records and gear that confirmed a wide-reaching drug operation. The pieces now formed a picture of corruption, secrecy, and organized crime cloaked by the island's isolation. With no way to contact the outside world, Dwight devised a plan. Recalling the emergency flares in his helicopter kit, he prepared to climb to the island's highest point to signal for rescue. From the summit, he launched flares into the evening sky, watching each one burn bright with hope. He prayed they would be seen and answered. In the hours that followed, Dwight uncovered the injured man's true identity. He was connected to the very drug ring that once thrived on the island. The man's story of abandonment was a fabrication, a mask to conceal his role in the criminal operation. Dwight now saw him for who he really was: a threat disguised as a victim. Knowing he was now a witness to a criminal conspiracy, Dwight acted quickly. He began preparing for the arrival of authorities, determined to ensure justice would be served. As night deepened, distant lights shimmered on the horizon. Help had arrived. Dwight's heart filled with relief, knowing the truth would no longer remain hidden. From the helicopter, as law enforcement descended on the island, Dwight looked back at the place that had tested every ounce of his strength. What began as a search for answers had become a fight for justice, and a journey that would forever shape his view of the world.